You're listening to Snippets from the Summit with your host, Scot McKay.
All right, gentlemen, Scot McKay coming at you again. As I'm recording this, it's the day after the 2024 Super Bowl, Super Bowl 58. And as you're probably already guessing, talking about football, is it going to make you a more masculine man or make you any better with women in your life? But something happened during the game last night that was widely publicized, and it involved Kansas City Chiefs player Travis Kelce. Now, you guys know that Travis Kelce and his girlfriend Taylor Swift have been all over the news. What happened in the first half was the Chiefs were experiencing some frustration in their game. And before, well, over 1 billion people watching worldwide, Travis Kelce went into meltdown mode on Coach Reid and kind of lost his temper. Now, that can happen during the course of a game, but when everybody's watching you and you have a high-profile relationship with, well, who's somewhat inarguably the most popular woman in the entire world, who's beloved by billions of people, there are going to be people chirping about it. And sure enough, if you got on X or you got on Facebook or Instagram, people were saying, hey, you know what? Travis Kelce lost his temper, bumped into his coach, and looks like an angry man who can't control himself. How does that bode for him being in a relationship with Taylor Swift? I mean, is he going to go all Ike Turner mode on her, or what's going to happen? And people were like, especially women, by the way, were like, yeah, you know what? Taylor, you better be watching, girl, because if he treats his coach that way, that's how he's going to treat you, and he's going to turn out being an abusive boyfriend and perhaps an abusive husband. The hashtag Roid Rage was in the top 5 in North America on X this morning, and guess who it was talking about? It was our boy Travis. Now, you and I, neither one of us are living as high profile a lifestyle as Travis, but there's one thing I want you to notice. Losing his cool did nothing for Travis Kelce in terms of popularity, people's opinion of him, and people's respect for him. People were saying, can you imagine if the Chiefs would have lost that game? You know, how big the blowback would have been. And there was concern for his girlfriend. People were actually saying out loud, can you imagine, would he have taken that out on poor Taylor in anger? So then, a part of me understands that this was really about people watching him and applying logic to what it would be like to be dating him or perhaps even marrying him, and women were talking more than men were. Now, if you were watching the game, you probably noticed that Andy Reid remained pretty stoic. And stoic is a word that a lot of the masculinity guys like to use to refer to how we should be all the time. Now, I'm on record as saying there's a time and a place for men to be playful and have a good laugh and to take themselves a little less seriously. But here's the thing about Coach Reid. Even though Travis Kelce is in his 30s and is a man who, you know, should know better than to lose his temper under any circumstance by now, Andy Reid, even when being bumped by a player, didn't lose focus, and he darn skippy didn't lose his temper. Basically, when you get right down to it, he didn't even so much as flinch. Now, I saw some people online thinking he was pretty wimpy for not standing up to his own player. Some people were like, you know, Vince Lombardi or Don Shula would have sat that guy down for the rest of his game, got in his face, and yelled at him. But the Chiefs won the game. And Coach Reid kept his composure like a leader should. A lot of you guys already know that Jocko Willink's company, Origin in Maine, sponsors this podcast. And, of course, I have a lot of respect for Jocko and what he stands for. You're talking about a guy who led SEAL Team 3 into combat in Iraq. And, you know, the Super Bowl involves a whole lot of pressure, and certainly there's a lot on the line. But when you're in a live combat situation, your very life is on the line. And Jocko has been on record on his podcast and in other media saying, hey, you know what? Men shouldn't lose their temper. If you can't control your temper, how can you control anything else? Now, listen, guys, this is about wisdom. This is about maturity. Coach Reed showed a little bit more wisdom and maturity, perhaps because he's an older gentleman, okay? I don't want you to have to wait years or even decades to reach this level where you don't lose your composure because you don't lose your temper. You're not cool. You're not more of a man because you're trying to intimidate people with your loud words and you jumping and stomping around and bumping into people and flexing your anger. If you keep your composure, everybody around you who's losing their composure are the ones who are not showing their manliness. Perhaps Rudyard Kipling said it best in his poem If from the 19th century. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, then you will be a man, my son. Andy Reid was the bigger man last night. Does that make Travis Kelce out to be someone who deserves none of your respect ever again? Should he not be forgiven? Should he not be given a free pass anytime he makes a mistake where he didn't quite control his temper? Look, if I were to be that draconian about this, I'd have to point the finger at myself first because, I'm not perfect either. But regardless, the lesson to be learned here is that when you hold yourself together, when you control your anger, when you stay focused on the task, on what has to be done, not only are you going to gain the respect of your fellow men out there, but women will feel a lot safer. They'll feel a lot more provided for, a lot more protected by a man who knows how to keep his cool when all about him are losing theirs. Super Bowl situation, live combat in Iraq, or whatever's going on in your day and whatever's going on in your world and whatever hot button any woman pushes with you. Gentlemen, go out there, take control of your destiny, take control of your success with women, but make it a point to start with getting control of yourself. You want to talk about this or anything else? Email me, Scot@mountaintoppodcast.com. Be good out there.
As always, visit mountaintoppodcast.com for more.